Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Ashley Lauren. You're probably thinking, bloody hell, she's put a video up. It has been months, weeks, probably months, since I've put anything up on my channel. I've been putting up bits of stuff on my Instagram and TikTok mainly. I've become a little bit obsessed with TikTok. Well, that's what my boyfriend would say anyway, but I'll link them down below if you do want to check them out. But with regards to YouTube, I've been feeling a little bit I've not been feeling motivated, a little bit uninspired, not really knowing what kind of videos to put out there, whether or not people just want to see singing kind of stuff. My most popular video is the one where I'm talking about my Addison's disease, because there's not a lot of videos on YouTube and there's not a lot of information out there about that, so that is one of my most popular videos that I've put up. I don't know if people are interested in stuff to do with health and mental health, but I do want to talk about mental health and stuff like that more, like my experiences with depression, anxiety, which is what I'm going to talk about today, and struggles I've had through my childhood with regards to mental health and stuff like that. So in another video I'll probably talk about my experiences with bullying and how that led to depression, and how that kind of led to my perception of myself and not liking how I looked and all that kind of stuff, and where we kind of went from there. But today I'm going to be talking about my experiences with anxiety and dissociative, I can never say that word, dissociative disorders called depersonalisation and derealisation. Obviously a lot of people suffer with some degree of anxiety, and depersonalisation and derealisation, and kind of branch off from that. I didn't even really know what they were until I obviously started suffering from both of them a couple of years ago. But obviously I'll go into how that kind of came about, what they are, how I kind of manage it and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, keep on watching. So first of all, what are they? Like I said, the dissociative disorders. I have got my little notebook because I'll probably forget something if I don't write stuff down, and I like to be organised with these videos. I'll start with depersonalisation. I do suffer from both in some degree, but I always tend to refer to it as depersonalisation even though it's both. I'll obviously talk about how I manage it, but when I talk about it with my boyfriend I tend to say I've got DP, which is obviously depersonalisation, when really it could be that or derealisation that I'm suffering with at that time. So with depersonalisation, it's a feeling or sensation of being detached from your thoughts and feelings and self. So you don't feel like you. It's really strange. Whereas the realisation is feeling detached from the world and from reality. With depersonalisation, it's almost like you're some sort of, everything feels alien. Your being, your body, your mind, everything just feels alien, like you're an outsider, like it's an out-of-body experience, almost like you're in some sort of dreamlike state, like almost looking over your body, but you're not actually within it. It's like a detachment from everything that makes you. So like, yeah, your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, it all just feels like you're watching from an outside perspective. So yeah, every single sensation feels detached. And yeah, so I've just got notes saying out of body experience, it doesn't feel real, dreamlike state, just a general feeling of detachment. And it's not pleasant in any way when you do get episodes of it. Some people suffer from depersonalisation just constantly. They're never out of it. And for the first couple of months, that's how it was for me. It was just always there. I felt constantly detached. I'll obviously go into how it came about and the kind of story behind it, but for those couple of months was hell, because it just felt like I was constantly in a dreamlike state, constantly didn't feel like me. Like I'd look down at my body and it's like it wasn't mine. It's almost like I was in like some sort of suit, some sort of, like I was a robot almost. So when I'm in a feeling of depersonalization, it's almost like I'm not in control of my actions or my words or my feelings or thoughts or anything. Like I'm, what's the word? Like I'm just watching someone else play me. So your words, your memories, everything just feels disconnected. Like you're in a feeling of autopilot, because when I'm in an episode of depersonalization, it's like I have to go into autopilot mode. How would I normally act? What words would I normally say? What scenario am I in? But that brings in the derealisation, which I will go into. I'm just like, right, I'm suddenly feeling detached, disconnected, so that it's not really obvious to other people. I need to try and act. It's almost like when you're drunk and you try and act not drunk, so that you can go in a club. Because if you go up to the bouncers and you're like, and all this, they're gonna be like, you're not going in. So with DP, say you're walking into a restaurant and suddenly you've got DP, you can't just be like, oh my god, and like curl up into a ball, because that's what you want to do. You have to just try and act as normal as possible. How would I normally act? What would I normally say? And to other people, they wouldn't even clock that you're acting any differently, and that's the thing. When I first kind of got diagnosed with it, my main issue was, can other people notice that I'm acting strange? I'd have episodes of it when I was a teaching assistant, and I'd have to act normal, and I was paranoid that the kids could notice, that the teachers could notice, and they were like, why is she acting odd? And when I went to the doctor, they were like, you need to realise that other people probably haven't noticed. It's mainly in your head. It is psychological. Obviously, you know you're acting different because you're you. You know how you'd normally act. You know how you'd normally feel, but to other people, they can't see what's inside your head. And so you need to get into your head that no one's noticed. So you just try and act as normal as possible and just try and go with it. So that's kind of what I've been doing, but I'll go into more detail with that. Oh, I've just knocked my hot water bottle over. So with derealisation, whereas depersonalisation is detachment from thoughts, sensations, feelings, so really what's going on in your mind and your body itself, derealisation is a detachment from the world, from reality. So nothing feels real. I had derealisation yesterday when I was in a restaurant, and it only lasted probably a minute, but it almost felt like I'd been almost like in The Sims, when you can like place people, you can put them in one room and plonk them in another. It's almost like someone's picked me up from somewhere else and plonked me in the seat in the restaurant, and you're like, for that split second, you're like, where am I? What's happening? What is this place? And you've still obviously got your memories of before that. You know that you've come into a restaurant, you know who you've come into that restaurant with, you know what you're there for. But for that split second, it almost feels like you've just been plonked in the seat, and you're like, oh my god, everything feels strange, it feels like I'm in a dream, nothing feels real. My surroundings feel just designed and not right. Nothing looks quite right. So it's almost like you're in a glass box, detached from the world, like there's a veil, and you're looking at it through the glass, and it doesn't feel like you can touch it or anything. You just feel really disconnected from the world. Obviously you're aware of everything, but it still feels strange and not quite right. And I've just put notes saying like you've just been suddenly placed into the room, and it just doesn't feel right. But you have to obviously once again go with it and just try and talk yourself down. I'm here because of this reason, we're on a date, we're here to have food, it's all fine, it is real. You kind of have to talk yourself around. So that's a long-winded explanation of both of them. So I started getting depersonalization and derealisation, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 years ago. I was in Boston to see my family, to see my dad and my sisters who live in Boston, live in Massachusetts. And I was there around the 4th of July, and we went to this really cool house party, obviously pre-COVID, when you could have house parties. And it was really cool. I had a lot of alcohol, way too much alcohol. And I just remember having a really good time, and then I blacked out. I don't know if this was due to the alcohol or what. I can't remember how much I had, to be honest. Obviously, be responsible with alcohol. The people who know me know that I don't drink a lot of alcohol very often. I'm not a big boozy person. But it was the 4th of July, we were in a house, I was safe, my dad was there, my sisters was there, there was alcohol flowing. Obviously we weren't going anywhere like outside of the house. I felt safe enough to have a good drink. It's the 4th of July. And I blacked out. So half the night I can't remember a single thing that happened past playing these drinking games. And I woke up in a bed. Obviously, I've never been to this house before. Oh, I'm going to have to stop that there and come back later. Sorry about that. Someone was at the door delivering Christmas presents. So, I can't remember where I was. Alright. Yeah, so I woke up in this bed. I've never been to this house before. I don't know whose room this is, whose bed this is. I can see that my sisters are in the bed next to me. And I'm like, how did I get here? I'm in pyjamas. How did I get in these pyjamas? Did I put myself in these pyjamas? How did I get to bed? Did I put myself to bed? So all these questions going through my head, which is why alcohol scares me to start with. And from that moment, everything felt strange. It felt like I was in a dream, but I knew I wasn't in a dream. I could feel my body. I could feel the sensation of me touching my body. But everything just felt not quite right from that point. It felt like I was an outsider. I felt like I wasn't in my body. I felt like I could look down and see my body. I can see my hair. I can see everything. I'm looking in the mirror. I can see myself back. But it's almost like I was like a ghost, or like it was an out-of-body experience or something. The room just looked strange, even though obviously it'd look strange anyway if you wake up in a room that you've never seen before. And we drove back to, because this was in Cape Cod, we drove back to Boston to go back to my dad's house, and just nothing felt right. I felt like an outsider in the world and in my body. I felt like every time I spoke, it wasn't like I was speaking. It's almost like someone else was speaking, but I could tell it's me, it's my voice. And I was second guessing everything I was saying, because I was like, what I think I'm saying, is it in the right context of what the conversation is? Because what if I think they're talking about one thing, but they're not, they're talking about something else. So if I say this thing, are they going to look at me and be like, what? We're not even talking about that. So it made me paranoid about everything I said or did. So I just, for those couple of months and for that remaining time that I was in Boston, I just tried to act as neutral as possible so that I didn't look out of place or act weird. But by doing that, I was acting weird because I wasn't acting myself. So I remember, I didn't tell my dad, I didn't tell my sisters. I think I'd only met them a couple of times at this point. And I didn't even know what was going on. And I just remember feeling super down, super depressed. I was like, when is this feeling going to go? I was like, is it because of the alcohol? I thought maybe tomorrow I'll feel better, but for the remainder of the trip, it almost got worse. And I remember being really upset, crying in the room, thinking, oh my God, this is ruining the trip because I can't feel like I can be me at all. Am I going to feel like this way forever? And my dad took me to see this show, and I felt so bad because I couldn't act normal. I didn't dare speak, really, just in case what I said was not, once again, not in context. And because it didn't feel like me speaking, I was scared to speak, I was scared to act in any way, and I must have just been so silent the whole night, and I bet he thought I didn't enjoy myself, but I really did, and I'd love to see the Blue Man Group again. That's who we saw. And I just felt so detached from everything. I felt disconnected. And it was like a constant out-of-body experience, a constant dream, and I was just so ready to wake up from it, and I didn't know if I ever would. And I remember looking up online, I feel detached, I feel disconnected, I feel like I'm in a dream. And then Depersonalisation Derealisation came up, and when I read it, I was like reading all these people's experiences, and they were saying how they'd suffered with it for years. And I was like, oh my God, I can't live like this for another day, never mind years. And I was reading people's tips on how to manage it, and I was just super depressed during that time that I had it constantly. I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. I just felt like they'd think I was crazy and that I'd made it up, or that it was just all in my head. But obviously it was an extreme symptom of anxiety, basically. And I don't know if it was because of the alcohol, or maybe that was just a coincidence or bad timing. And I went to the doctors, and I ended up crying, and I was like, I can't live like this. It's making me really depressed. I feel like I can't do anything. It's making me not want to go to university. It's not making me want to have a job, because if I get an episode of it whilst I'm at work, what am I meant to do? Because I need to talk to customers, I need to talk to my tutors at uni, but I feel like I can't. And that's when she said, other people probably can't notice. When you were in Boston, they probably didn't notice that you're acting any differently. Your friends probably haven't noticed. Your mum probably wouldn't have noticed. And I basically told my mum, explained what had been going on. I explained it to my best friend. I've obviously since explained it to my boyfriend, who's fantastic with it. All I have to say is, I've got DP, and he's like, because I got it yesterday in the restaurant, and he was like, you're in a restaurant, everything's fine, we're having a date night, we're having a good time, it's fine. He was like, I'm here if you need anything. And that's what he does. And by him doing that, it kind of gets the episode out of the way quicker, because I then convince myself that there's no reason to be anxious. But I have suffered with anxiety in the past, and social anxiety, and stuff like that. So sometimes it's triggered when I'm in a situation where I don't feel 100% comfortable, or I feel a little bit nervous. And sometimes it comes on when there's no reason for me to be nervous or anxious, like when I'm with my mum shopping, or even when I'm on my own in the house watching TV. I'll get an episode of it where everything suddenly feels disconnected, and I'm like, why have you come on now? I don't need to be anxious in this situation. So it doesn't necessarily have a trigger, and sometimes it does. But luckily, after those couple of months, it started coming and going rather than being there constantly, which is something I can put up with. I'd rather it come and go than be there constantly. Obviously, I'd rather it not be there at all. But now I only tend to get episodes every now and again, and they only tend to last for like anywhere from like a minute to like half an hour. And they're just random. So sometimes I might get 5 or so episodes a week, and sometimes I might only get 1, and then sometimes I might get loads in a week. So it is completely random. But I feel like the best way to manage it is just to convince myself that everything's fine, just act normal, try and remove yourself from any situations where you feel uncomfortable or nervous or anxious. Sit down, breathe, it'll pass. And I feel like that kind of does the trick. And talking about it, and having someone there where if you're with someone, you can say, I've got depersonalization or I've got derealisation, just bear with me. If I go quiet, that's why. Or someone that can recognise the signs of when you've got it. Because when I've got it, I can tell that Mike can tell I've got it because I tend to look around a lot. I'm like, right, where am I? Why am I here? They're the kind of things that's going on through my head. And then I'm like, right, I'm in a restaurant, I'm here with Mike, everything's fine, I've got food, there's no reason to have a panic attack, there's no reason to feel anxious. And I feel like that's kind of done the trick. But I feel like there needs to be more information out there about it, because I wouldn't have even known what it was if I didn't look it up. I don't know what I would have done. I don't feel like a lot of people know what it is. Obviously people know what anxiety is, but there needs to be more information about the different kind of symptoms that you can get with anxiety and the different degrees of anxiety that you can get. But yeah, I just thought I'd talk about it today because there's not a lot of videos out there about it, so I thought I'd talk about it a little bit and share a little bit more about myself. And stuff like that. So I hope it was informative and not too boring and not too long. And yeah, I'll try and upload some more videos in the future. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see from me, whether or not you want to see me talk about my experiences with depression, bullying, my childhood, or whether or not you'd want to see more vlogs or singing videos and stuff like that. So just let me know down below, and I'll try and upload a bit more regular. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks if you made it this far, and I'll see you on the next one. So see you, bye.